this morning. All right. And then I'll turn comments on so that you guys can tell me if somebody comments on something. Okay. Today is September the 11th, the 23rd anniversary of 9/11. It's crazy that it's 23 years ago. Y'all remember? Okay, some of you were pretty young. I get that, okay? I was not. And I remember the things that happened that morning. And I remember the feeling that the world changed. That everything that I knew from that point previous, everything changed. And I remember walking out in my driveway and looking up in the sky and thinking, there is not a plane in the air above the United States right now. And that is so unusual. It was quiet. Everybody was inside watching TV. And not a lot of people moving around. Everybody was home watching what was going on. And so I just want to take a second and just to say, I think about that on September 11th. I hope that you do. 6 Fs. We're going to hit 3 things that we don't normally hit, not very often, maybe once a quarter. We're going to go over the purpose, core purpose, the mission, and the vision statement of 6 Fs. And these are things that we keep in mind. Now, I always do our core values in one of the 13 and not to be 14 as soon as Jim gets finished thinking it through. But today we're going to do the core purpose. What we do, we help people find and create a home that feels like them. And that goes for all of 6 F Homes. All of you are familiar, 6 F Homes, the company is our brokerage, it's design, it's construction, and it's pool and outdoor. That's 6 F Homes. 6 F Storytelling is a separate division. Okay, so we help people find and create a home that feels like them. Mission: why we do what we do. Creating homes, building community, real estate with soul. Where we are going. Our vision statement: to encourage home ownership and make all components of the residential real estate process, design, brokerage, construction, and pool and outdoor easier, more accessible, and more enjoyable than ever before. We accomplish this by providing access to the best one-stop shop real estate experience across the state of Texas and a curated team of experts that provide unparalleled quality, value, and customer service. We take extreme ownership for both the success and failure of any project and role we are tasked with.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. No problem at all. So that is 6 F's core. That's our purpose, our mission, and our business statement. Scott, you're about to stand up anyway, so you come on up and over here. Let me introduce Scott Pendleton. If you guys have not seen Scott before, he's with Origin Bank. Who did you used to be with?
First United.
First United. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So now he's with Origin Bank, and he's got a presentation he's going to share with us that I'm going to pull up and share. And floor's yours, sir.
Perfect. So yeah, it's actually Origin Point. So
Origin Point.
Yeah. So we're not a bank. So I came from a bank, but now with Origin Point, we're part of a guaranteed rate just to have a little bit of texture to the brand. If that helps at all, or it gives you any type of brand awareness. So, but yeah, thank you all for letting me be here. I'm excited. I feel like it's an exciting time maybe in the market a little bit, especially on our side. Rates are starting to maybe move in the right direction. The Fed's helping us out. Next year feels promising. We've got a bunch of new forms, right? I hear all of you agents are loving, right? Is that going well in our stuff, maybe? Love to at some point, maybe not today, but just how we partner with folks to help with that, right? If commissions for y'all are a little, let's say you've agreed to 3% on the buy side, sellers giving 2%, just that partnership with realtor to lender is just really important for that, to where we can maybe find that extra 1%. So with Origin Point, anytime I've made a couple changes over the course of my career, but whenever I do, kind of the 3 areas I always look at with the new company are kind of the 3 Ps for me, right? Pricing, products, and process, right? And just what the company has, how they fit within the market. So I just want to touch on 2 of those real quick. I know we've got just a few minutes, so I'm going to try not to take too deep of a dive, but on the product side, I just want to touch on that real fast. Some of the value adds or some of the things that we do, I think really well, fall within that non-QM space. And so if you think of QM, just qualified mortgage, that's just kind of your straight and narrow kind of just basic kind of buyer, right? So let's say they're W-2, they have cash, that's income's good. they kind of fall within that QM world, right? Or that box of guidelines, underwriting guidelines. The non-QM just kind of expands that out a little bit. So it's just, think of it as just creative financing options, right? So within that, these are some of the, I guess, more utilized options within, but asset depletion, if you don't know kind of how that works, but just within the QM space, the qualified mortgage space, if you have extra cash, that's great, right? It doesn't do, like once you kind of hit that cash, the total cash to close amount, that extra cash is just, it strengthens the file, right? But it doesn't go anywhere else outside of that. Within asset depletion, we can use that cash as income, right? So we can divide, so depending on the account, right? So checking, savings, brokerage account, money market, 401k, Roth IRA, we can divide that over 84 months and use that as income, right? So if somebody's stuck on, this goes up to $3 million, so it goes within the jumbo space as well. And so if somebody's just on the cusp of kind of getting the home that they want, they need that extra bump, we can jump into the asset depletion, right? Or it saves the day a lot. Not everybody has this, right? So if they thought their financing was good, turns out it's tighter than they thought, we've saved the day quite a bit with asset depletion. Bank statements for self-employed folks like yourselves, obviously the benefit of being self-employed is you can write stuff off, right? When it comes to buying a house, it makes it tough, right? You don't show that you make as much as maybe you really do. So with bank statement loans, we just go off of deposits. We look at a 12 to 24 month period, and we just look at just the deposits and just kind of the consistency within that 12-month time frame, right? So there's a little bit of calculation to it, but it's truly kind of flipped kind of the income structure that we're able to use. So if somebody shows minimal income, we look at a bank statement loan, we see that they, I don't want to give an example, I guess, that'll take too much time, but it's essentially just going off the deposits, right? So I've had quite a few self-employed folks that maybe have a loss for their business, but we look at deposits, they're successful, there's consistency within that, then we can, use quite a bit of income. So it can totally flip the script for self-employed folks.
How long do they need to be self-employed?
For bank statement, it's 3 years. Yep. There's, 1099 loans falls within self-employed, 1 year P&L, right? So, and actually with kind of bank statement, we don't look at tax returns at all. If the tax return makes it in the file, it isn't qualified, right? So it's truly just simplifies it quite a bit. Same with kind of these other options as well, the P&L. There's a 40-year loan now, right? To where the first 10 years is interest only, and then it's amortized over 30 years after that. So it helps keep that monthly payment down, which is, if anything, it's just an option to have, right? It might not make the most sense, but if somebody's a little bit savvier with where they went through DTI, then we can look at that, or their monthly payment, we can look at that. And then non-mortgable condos, right?
That's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
Non-mortgable condos, if you guys don't know, a lot of the condos that we do have in Fort Worth are not marked. And so you will need somebody that knows what they're doing. You run into that problem. Okay, if you sell condos, you're going to run into the problem.
Yep.
Well, for the 40-year interest only, but they can still pay more towards it, like, or they can still pay it off, or like, okay, quicker.
You can always send more in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We'll always take that. So, but yeah, within the condo space, there's just a lot of data out there now, right? To where there are times when we don't even need to do a condo review or get questionnaires or information, right? So if it's warrantable, let's say, right, that this maybe doesn't apply for the non-warrantable piece, but if it's warrantable, we have data from previous sales, right? So if it was warrantable 3 months ago, it's probably still warrantable, right? So we have that data within guaranteed rate, right? To where we can say, hey, it's good. We don't even need to collect documentation. We don't, even if it's 5% down, right? We wouldn't have to review. If it's approved, it's approved. So we don't need to do the break down the financials of the HOA, which can always get tricky.
What is non-warrantable? I've never come across that. What does that mean?
So go ahead.
Well, there's a few categories. Some of the more common ones is We're going to look at how many investors, how many investment units there are within the complex. We're going to look at potentially the financials to make sure there's enough reserves within the HOA. So if there is an issue with like the roof or whatever, they can pay for it. Lawsuits, obviously, that's kind of one within the normal that's a deal killer if there's active lawsuits, stuff like that. But yeah, just kind of the full kind of makeup of the complex. This one right here has been, I feel like I'm yelling this from the rooftop. So this particular product is a non-contingent, so buy before you sell product, to where we can essentially remove the current mortgage payment of the soon-to-be departing residents. All we need to do that is a letter of intent that they will list within 90 days after buying their the new home. We need 20% equity, which we'll do with just a drive-by appraisal, and then we need just some extra reserves. So those are kind of the two kind of caveats to say, hey, we're going to believe that you are going to list and sell, but we just want to make sure there's a little bit of equity and some reserves in case it takes longer than you anticipate.
And how's that interest rate?
It prices really, it's a smidge above kind of market, right? So call it maybe.
You got it, sure. Thanks,
Yeah, it's actually just good one.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fill the poster off. I don't know if you use that. They're good. Yeah, so it's maybe, if you're comparing kind of a paper, right, it's maybe 0.25% higher in rate, right? Maybe 3/8. So it's a smidge above market, but it is, if anything, it's just a good conversation piece for those folks that they think they have to sell first and maybe they're dragging their feet. It's just been a good conversation piece to get kind of.
Does it cost anything to use that program?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, there's no
that's
points
what we're
or-
seeing is there is a cost.
There's usually a cost, so you're getting a call from me.
Yeah.
The cost is in.
Well,
I
like I have several lenders that do buy before you sell, but when you do that, it's a double close basically. And so they go purchase their new home, have their house on the market, we try to sell it, and then they have to close and send that money back in and then recast.
This is, all we do is we're removing that monthly payment. All we're doing is looking at the new home, right? We don't do anything with the existing property.
You're getting a call.
And it's been.
What if it doesn't sell within 90 days?
There's no follow-up on the back end, right? I mean, it's like any, if you buy, if you're going to turn your primary into an investment, right? You can do that, right? Or if you're going to buy an investment property and we go off of a rental comp analysis, we're not going to make sure that you're collecting that amount of rent, right? To verify that it's true. So there's no follow-up on the back end to make sure that it is sold or anything like that. It's truly, if you check these 3 boxes, we remove that monthly payment so that you can buy the new house, give the freedom there to buy the new house, and then there's
What 3
nothing.
boxes?
The letter of intent,
Letter of intent.
20% equity in the departing residence,
Okay.
and then reserves. And it depends on the loan amount of the new property as far as how many months of reserves. So 6 to 12 months reserves. And you can use
Okay.
retirement accounts for reserves, right?
Yeah.
So 401k, IRA, stuff like that. Debt to income, we can go up to 55% after removing that mortgage payment.
You said 55?
55. And then if they do have a decent amount of equity in their departing residence, we can get a quick HELOC. So we use Frost. They're just a great second lien bank. And so we could pull a quick HELOC, pull some equity out. So if they need that for the down payment, right, we can do that and still pull some of that cash out. So it's a sweet product. I know we're probably out of time. This is just, there's the first time homebuyer grant. It's based on departing residents, can get up to $8,500 towards the purchase. There's no income limit. So it's all based on departing residents, which is kind of a twist to it. And then there's a map that kind of, the gray is kind of the areas that it's allowed. So it's, it's maybe hit or miss, right? Obviously I know.
It's hard. Okay, so just quickly, this is Dallas, this is Fort Worth. So all of northern Fort Worth, eastern Fort Worth, southern Fort Worth here, most of Arlington and Mansfield here, except for the west side of Arlington, right there. I can't think of the name of the road, right there where 287 comes into 20. That area is not covered, but most of this is Fort Worth. I'll put this map in Slack for you guys.
So Mansfield?
Yes, it's pretty specific, right? So it's not just a zip code, it's more kind of, I don't know, it segments out kind of the areas, but it's,
So grants don't have to be paid back, I know that, but sometimes they're associated with a higher interest rate, right?
this is truly there's no second lien, silent second.
What's the qualifying, like, is it an income base or what is it?
For this, no, it's all about departing rate. So it falls within that CRA, right? Community Reinvestment Act
Okay,
type bubble,
okay.
right? So some of them are based on, let's say if it's a down payment assistance type program, right?
Okay.
Those you have to typically pay back.
Yeah,
And it's going to force you into a higher rate,
Yeah.
right? As far as the loan. So there's other programs out there that are kind of similar that are based on the new address, and there's income limitations. This is truly just based on departing residence, as long as one person, so if it's a husband and wife and the husband has the mortgage,
Yeah.
right, the first loan,
Okay.
the wife is a first-time home buyer, so they qualify if their departing residence fits within that. No income limitations, they'll get 5. So this is a Fannie Mae type product. So there's only a few mortgage companies out there that have this. So 5K comes from Fannie, and then we match the 3,500.
Just for you guys, if you're asking about Mansfield, that word right there is Mansfield.
Yeah.
So it's this side, most of this side. of Mansfield.
budget.
Huh?
Let me put my glasses
I
on.
know, I'll send it out later and you can zoom in, but I was just
So-
trying to get it to you.
And I can send you kind of, not that y'all need to drive on it, but
Only
I can
half of
send
it.
you kind of, it rolls through Fannie Mae, right? So there's a little lookup guide that you can put in an address and see that it kind of fits. So that's helpful. So this is more on the process side of things. So same day mortgage, to where we can close a deal in 10 days, right? I mean, we can move quick, right? So it typically falls in line with the kind of the more straightforward type borrowers, right? But we can get a full credit approval on the front end to where it's essentially a cash offer subject to appraisal, right? Kind of my quick, what's the word? Like my first deal with Origin Point, success story is we had a client moving from Dallas to Virginia, very straightforward, past client of mine, and he wanted to be credit approved before he flew out there, staying within the same company, just kind of going to headquarters. He found a condo, which I'm like, oh man, this will be interesting. And but he was fully credit approved. He put 20% down. We got an appraisal waiver on our side, so we didn't need an appraisal. And the HOA, the condo, was within our approved list. So as soon as he went under contract, he's done. There's nothing else we need to do from an underwriting or just any type of approval standpoint. It's really just kind of checking the boxes from a timeline standpoint. And that's just kind of a real life example of just kind of what it would look like, right? We get the offer accepted and just kind of runs through that. So, but yeah, I think I covered what I wanted to cover.
I'll leave
So
this
kind of
up.
a
And
quick
you guys have
snapshot.
questions for Scott?
How long have you been in business? How long have you been doing?
I've been in LA 12 years.
12 years?
And then
with guarantee?
3 months, 3-4 months.
Okay.
So I partner with folks on the construction loan side, lot loan side. There are some great kind of within that CRA, some folks out there that do a really good job with there's an income limit, right? But if you fall within that, so like think of teachers, to where 0% down, OMI, that kind of stuff, and it prices extremely well. So there's some really good products out there as well that we can.
And a lot of the stuff that you guys get from me on Sunday night is from Scott because I steal it. And I told him he sends out this thing on Monday morning. I think it comes out, and it just has a lot of good information. If you want to subscribe to that, just let Scott know. All his contact information will be in Slack in the follow up today and brokerage announcements.
And I send out weekly rates on Friday if that's ever helpful. Just like a quick little snapshot as you go into the weekend. Be happy to put you on the mailer or the text chain for that. So
That's perfect.
thank you.
Scott's great. Been a real good supporter of 6th Avenue. Let's support him. Thank you, sir.
Thank
you.
And you're welcome
Yeah.
to stick around and
I would
listen.
love to. Yeah, if
If
you're okay with
want
that.
to do that, absolutely.
Having a lender in the room
All right, let me stop this. I'll leave it up there just for a minute. Okay. Thanks to Scott for bringing breakfast for us. You guys, I need to go. If you didn't get in the email, 6th Ave merch is now online. We've got all the stuff, the merchandise is there, and we have a way to pay for it. So there's the new shirts, the new 6th Ave with Soul, the new cowboy t-shirts. A lot of these shirts are back here in the back, but you can order them here and pick them up in the merch wall back here in the back hall. Their shirts are $20 each. She's got the whiskey at $45, the tequila at $46. That's not bad for lunch. Okay. It's a joke. Come on, laugh. It's Wednesday morning, guys.
You
Okay.
don't have the tequila and whiskey
Yeah.
down right now?
You'll have it here when we can ride.
It's back there in
No,
the.
next taste test.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I have a-
Sorry?
I'm just gonna taste test it.
Yeah.
Oh no, the whiskey? No, it's sealed. Now we've got some Eden and Oak special brand over there called JoJo. It's chocolate chip cookie. If you want to sample that on 12 o'clock, I'll let you sample that. It's good.
At 11 o'clock.
Well, after the meeting.
Well, why can't we do, might make the meeting more interesting?
That would make the meeting much more interesting. Okay, so I have told you guys this before, and I'm going to just tell you again, please. When you have a question for me, please put it on Slack. It's not because I don't want to answer your question. I want to answer all your questions, but I want other people to see your question, because that way I don't have to answer the same question 45 times. So I'm not harping on anybody or looking at anyone in particular.
I don't know why he's looking at me.
I love everyone here. And I literally,
too.
I would answer your question at 10 o'clock at night, almost every single night. But it's so much better if you put it on Slack, because Clarissa has a world of information. Jen has a world of experience. Tasha has some experience, apparently. I'm not sure where, but it's a joke. Come on. Tasha has great insight to a lot of things that I have no clue about.
I know, but sometimes I have to talk.
I understand. I understand.
And she gets bored talking to me about it.
I understand that too. But please put your questions on Slack first in the guides channel. That is the best place for a question to go, because new agents like Haya would love to learn, and it's so much better when she's seeing the question and all the responses. Her brain is growing every second that you do that. Please put it on Slack. Okay.
And we're playing thread.
Oh, yeah.
Do what?
We're playing.
That's literally just for Tasha, because she can't do it.
What?
Reply in thread.
I don't want to reply to it. Now you say you're rebellious.
Whatever.
I understand. It's all good.
And don't put it on the brokerage channel.
Oh, yeah.
I
I was like, Amber, let it stay there.
But it's Jana.
Well, because I don't want to be rude to anyone ever. So I texted Jan on the side and said, hey, would you please put that in the guides channel? Because I didn't want to just delete it, and because she had something she wanted to share. So I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be nice, Jan.
In my own defense, I was thinking broker open, brokerage, and I wasn't thinking open house. And I'm sorry. It was just because I don't pay attention.
This is not the law or anything. We're just trying to keep the Slack channels clean.
I understand completely. Oh, you're muted, Brian.
Hold on. Camera shut down.
Okay.
Thank you for telling me. Yeah, please do that anytime that it shuts down.
Okay.
Okay. And turn the camera back on. I don't know why it's doing that. There it goes. Okay. Sorry. Thank you, Gianna, for telling me. Your quarterly dues are coming due with Greater Fort Worth. If you don't have auto pay enabled, please go do that. There are still a few people that need to do auto pay with the office for your resource fees. If you're not set up on auto pay with Rachel, please do that. It just makes it go so much simpler, and I don't have to text you and go, can you pay your dues? Please do that. Okay. Code of Ethics is coming. Maria said she wanted me to keep reminding everyone. So Code of Ethics is due by December the 31st, and they will turn you off if you haven't done your Code of Ethics. The links are on the Sunday night email to go check it and make sure it's done. Okay. My coach from Buffini and I had a conversation, and something you guys, I put this into Sunday night's email, but I want to remind you and say it again. October the 1st, coming up in 3 weeks, is the very first of our year for 2025. Everything that you do from October through December will pay dividends in 2025. So your social media posts, any kind of marketing that you're going to do, plan that out now. We were talking before the meeting about the rates hopefully changing next week in 8 days? 7 days, the 18th and 19th. Is that the meeting? 17th, 18th. Okay. So less than a week away. Just because they drop the rate doesn't mean it's going to change anything, because all of the lenders have probably already figured those rate drops into what they are offering now. So you telling people to buy now is a good thing. Am I telling the truth, Scott? Yep. Okay. It's the rate drops are already there. So tell your people that just tell them it's a great social media, great thing for you to say. Pick up the phone and call your people, your whole sphere of influence, every buyer, and say the rates have already dropped. Doesn't matter what the Fed does, the rates have already dropped. We've already figured it in. Now's the time to buy, because you can see all the houses are still sitting. So everything you do from now until December will pay massive dividends in 2025. Okay. All right. Next week, we've got Jeremy Dean with Elite Title coming in for breakfast at 9:45. Do y'all guys like the broker time at between 11 and 12 just to ask questions? Is that beneficial to people if I'm here to do stuff? Okay. And then I'll stay. Certified full service professionals, 14 people that are taking that. It's next Tuesday at noon. We will be in the sunroom. So if you want to join virtually, you can. Otherwise, there'll be 14 people in the sunroom, which will be lots of fun, but I'll make it work out. If I'll move the table out and we'll put chairs in there or something. We'll do something. But next Tuesday at noon for CFSP. New agents. I have texted most of you, I think, but we're going to do a photo shoot October the 10th from 12 to 2 at the Lumen Room. I will have a sign-up sheet shortly. I've got to coordinate with storytelling on this to get this done and let you guys pick a time. After the new agents get their headshots scheduled, if anybody else wants to update a headshot, we will leave some time. We're only getting 2 hours and we have 6 agents. So there's 1 hour of it gone at least. So we might have about 30 minutes for other people to take some quick headshots or group shots, something like that. After they've scheduled, I'll open it up to other people and let you know what's available. Okay. September is Realtor Safety Month, Realtor.com Safety Month. So we are going to look at this thing that I sent out for you guys. I had it pulled up. Where'd it go? Well, I'll pull it up again. The PDF that I sent out on Sunday night's thing. Oh, that's not what that is. They're having a webinar September the 18th at noon, a safety webinar through NAR that you're welcome to take. I'll put that link in Slack for you guys if you want to take that safety webinar. That I sent the PDF, the link to the PDF of the 52 tips. A lot of good information, especially if you're a new agent. Look at those tips. Just keep those in your mind as you're out showing and doing things with people. I want to hit some national market update info. So spending on residential, let me share this tab so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Okay. So spending on residential construction was off a tick in July. Let me make this bigger.
Please.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me hit that part right there. Okay. Spending on residential construction was off a tick in July, but it was still up 8% from a year ago. Most important, builder spending on new single-family homes came in at a healthy 4% ahead of last year. Somebody before the meeting said the builders had a really good couple of last weekends. Well, because what are they offering on interest rate?
Like lower, but then like some of them are still offering the $50,000 and $60,000 in incentives.
Okay.
Yeah.
4.99. I saw 4.99.
And Freshman was doing 1.99.
Really?
Yeah. 1 point. 1 point.
Is that just for 1 year?
Impression homes? I'm sure it's probably adjustable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
It is, but yeah, I hadn't seen 1.99 yet.
okay.
First for me.
The Mortgage Bankers Association reported weekly mortgage applications posted another weekly gain. The MBA noted purchase applications increased more than 3% over the week and are inching closer to last year's levels. So now this time last year, this is September, this is when the 7% interest rate started to hit, September, October. So before that, remember, we were having a really good year. Y'all remember that? June, July, that was really, really sweet. So we're almost back to that level. Can y'all see the bottom one? Freddie Mac's primary mortgage survey noted the national average 30-year fixed mortgage rate was unchanged, remaining at its lowest level in over a year. I'm going to actually share this thing that I will share with you guys. I might have to make this one bigger too. Well, that's not bad, is it? We're not going to hit it. We're not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to share this with you guys in Slack. Here's the motivation for uncertain buyers. I will need to make that bigger for you guys. Well, not that big. Boy, I'm killing it today, guys. There we go. The last week in September offers the best combination of benefits for buyers who are ready to take the plunge this fall. Buyers will have more homes to choose from at lower prices compared to summer highs and less competition. I'm going to send this to you, Holly.
Well, I want it for a social media thing today.
Okay. Mortgage rates could also dip, lowering overall costs, but if buyers wait too long, they'll see new listings dry up. Has anybody seen the well-priced listings move quick? Anybody?
Yeah, the price drop moved very quickly.
The ones that are priced to sell,
Yes.
not the ones that are priced to list.
Yeah.
I just want to list and see if I can get what I want.
But even the ones that are comped out right now, that we dropped the price to where they should have been from the get-go,
Mhm.
or should have been closer.
They're sitting? Well, because that is very normal, because that's the seller mentality of, hey, let's list and see if we can get it. We can always come back down and negotiate down. Well, when you're doing that, you're just cutting your own throat, because people look at it and they go, why you been on the market 140 days?
Or you can get mad when you get what I suggest you to list it at, and you can get mad that you had to negotiate down to that.
Yeah. It would have been easier. We could have sold it in 3 days if you'd listed for that.
So we actually have 2 listings in Joshua where the neighborhood comps have dropped their depreciation.
Yeah. So I'll share this article with you guys. I shared one with Will yesterday about how Will Pepper out of Bell County, out of Temple. I sent one to him that I'll put in there as well. It's about getting people off the fence. But now, the end of September, this is the time to do that. Okay. We are going to briefly talk about 2 things. Number one, we're going to talk about this form. This is the paragraph 5A for broker compensation on the listing agreement. We have 5A and 5B, and there's some confusion. And so I want to just kind of hit it briefly. We've got about 20 minutes left, and then we'll have some conversation about this. So the purpose, and can you read it? Not really. Let me see if I can make it. I'm already up to 250% on this daggum thing. I don't know how much bigger I can make it. There's 300. It's not going up.
Itself, not at the top.
Uh-huh.
It says 100%.
Okay, thank you. Let me back off here then, back to something that's normal. And
Go to the other direction.
yeah, let me go here on this side. Oh, see, I'm gifted with technology, I guess. Okay, paragraph 5A, the purpose. 5A should be used when the seller agrees to pay compensation to the listing broker and a buyer's broker up front. 5A is like the old way. Ooh.
5A, like the old way.
I said you like the old way.
5A like the old way. Okay.
Slack,
5B, well, we'll come up with something else on that. So 5A is the old way. And if you'll look right there, these 2 blanks, 1 and 2, must be filled out if you select 5A. We've seen some listing agreements come through on compliance that these weren't done properly.
Okay, say that one more time. Sorry.
5A, the old way,
Yep.
1 and 2 must be filled out. Okay. So 1 is the percentage of the sales price. Here's the cooperation. This is what we used to put in MLS. 2 is like what we used to write down in MLS of what the compensation we were offering. 5B means the seller is not offering compensation. It doesn't mean they won't negotiate or that they won't pay it. They're just not offering it, which is why, like, if you've gone to the VAC page recently, I've changed mine. If you want yours changed, your listings changed to willing to negotiate, I'm fine with that. I think it's the smart way to go.
Wait, what did you say? Say that again.
If you, on the VAC page, the 6th VAC page, I've changed all of my listings away from offering a percentage. Mine all say willing to negotiate. Because my seller is willing to pay something depending on your offer.
Did he fill, in your listing agreement, did he fill out 5A?
We did fill out, but
So you're just not disclosing that
correct,
anymore? Okay,
correct.
so because your seller said don't disclose it?
Well, because the listing agreements that I have currently are amended,
Okay,
2701.
Yep.
So I haven't changed anything. The one that I have is expiring in a couple of weeks anyway. The new 2 new listings I have, they both say that they would pay X percentage, but I told them up front, I'm not going to advertise that. I'm just telling you, we're going to say willing to negotiate.
do you feel like you're getting a better conversation with a buyer's agent?
If I could get somebody to show one of the 2 properties, I'd be happy to talk to them about it.
Right?
It's just a different strategy, and I'm curious if you feel like you're getting, if it's better or worse.
I've got a house built in 1900 in Terrell, Texas. I mean, it's got 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom that's in the entryway. You tell me it is a good job.
Well, if you're-
Huh? 250, 245,
I guess
but it's on a half acre. It's a big one.
for me, it would be, it's like you try to put yourself in each other's shoes, right? The buyer side and the seller side or whatever. The seller, if I'm selling my house and I'm willing to pay 3% to both sides, just, it's like, I'm gonna want to shoot it to the world. I want to sell my house. I want to move on to the next deal. So I'm going to tell people, yes, I'm giving you 3%. Get in there. Let's get it done.
I agree.
Done, done, done. I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to hide it. Now it's going to be up to each individual seller what they want to do. And if you've got one that's not offering, 3%, maybe it's a little bit lower, maybe it's just 2.5, you can have a discussion. But I really don't see the harm in saying if they're willing to give 3%, let's get going. Let's get moving.
Mhm.
But are we then jeopardizing more money that could be in the buyer or in the seller's pocket if
Yeah.
we go that route?
And that's
what I'm
my
keep
argument.
going back in
Because
my
if they
head.
have given a lower offer, you've already said they're willing to do 3% ahead of time
Mhm.
up front, instead of being like, okay, well, you're offering this, so now we're only gonna offer 2.5 or whatever.
Well, then should the discussion be, well, we're willing to offer 3% with an acceptable offer?
I say that we're willing to negotiate a buyer's agency condition for compensation with an acceptable offer.
I think you could put up to, I mean, that's was
Yeah.
D.R. Horton's spin. They
Yeah.
said up to 3%. So I think you could say the seller's willing to negotiate up to 3% with an accept, but that's just like anything else though. Because I mean, you've seen that in your property descriptions where somebody's like, hey, seller will contribute 5,000 concessions with an acceptable offer.
Yeah.
Well, but okay, so let's just say I've got a house that's been on the market 180 days and somebody brings me an offer at list price, but they're asking for 4% on the buyer side. And I look at my seller and go, they want 4%, but you've been on the market 180 days. What do you want to do with that?
But see, that's
I'll pay it.
exactly because I'm relisting
get that.
Garland this
Don't wanna get it done.
weekend.
Huh?
I'm relisting Garland because I took it off, to start market days over. And that's exactly what they want to do.
Offer for
They
what?
want to offer more to the buyer's agent than they
I think
do
it's
to
a,
family. It's not shocking.
Then,
I think it's a reasonable
But
strategy.
they were like, and I mean, I had the discussion, I'm like, we certainly can offer more, but I wouldn't, put that on the floor.
But if you're having problems selling something,
Yeah.
why not? That's what, I mean, we used to do that in MLS all the
I
time.
was gonna say, that's what the builders are doing, that's why they're gobbling up so much, is because their interest rate and their offer and an extra percent, and that's driving all of us to bring our buyers.
And it should
So
be up to them.
The exact same mentality for
Mhm.
us.
Yeah, I think really just the conversation and how your sellers want to present it.
Absolutely.
Because I think most sellers are willing to negotiate with a reasonable offer.
Do you think that it makes your sellers feel like they have more control? Do you feel like you have more control?
No, I mean, I'm totally out of control all the time, period.
I was gonna say, I
No.
feel the same, but I'm just to give them some sense of control over what that looks like. I mean, do you?
Yeah, absolutely. Why would it not? I mean, because if you have that conversation,
Well, I'm
and
just
it's a 10-minute conversation with a seller. It's a 10-minute conversation to have that, to explain it. Now, they're thinking on it, and the way that they do their strategy, that could take a couple of days for them to think through it. But we should be thinking through it in advance to give them the easy options of 5A or 5B. Do you not want to offer anything and see what comes in and then negotiate? Because that's what the NAR settlement gave us. It was always there.
Yeah,
It was
right.
always
Well,
there.
and I think the conversation you need to have with your seller is, I mean, what data you're looking at. I mean, days on market, what your suggested price is. And also just looking at, I mean, I know it has no relevance, what Zillow says about the property, what Trulia says about the property, because I mean, I always say that and I always take that data because I want people to look at what the consumer's looking at online.
Jana, I was just turned around and saw that you had put a comment up there. I'd love to, if you want to jump in, you're more than welcome.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay. That was at 10:26. I didn't see that. Y'all should have told me. Now I feel like an idiot. Okay. I need help pricing below comps. I'd love to pick someone's brain on this. Mariah, just jump on Slack and throw something up there. Jana, if you're still there, I'd love for you to jump in on this. Okay, so this form that I put up here, it's on the new TAR forum site. I encourage you to read through it. The other thing that we're still having problems with is the 2402 and the 2406. I'm not going to hit that today. I'm just going to tell you that there is a case where the 2402 and the 2406 are required together. So you've got to read those paragraphs. It's on the 2406 where it says that that the listing agent used 5A, 1 and 2. Therefore, the seller is paying the listing broker who is paying the buyer broker. And then you have to have a 2402. Did I lose you?
Yeah, it's right there.
Huh?
It's right here.
Okay. So in the 2406, and I think it's the first one. I didn't have it pulled up. It says if the seller is paying the listing broker, the listing agent, who is then paying the buyer broker, which is us, then you have to use a 2402. However, if the seller is directly paying the buyer agent, the 2402 is not required. It's only a 2406.
So old ways, we would have had to have the 2402 because that we were doing 5A1.
Right. Which in that case, you need a 2406 and a 2402.
So if you do 5A1
Uh-huh.
on your listing agreement, just write it down.
All of it's on the new TAR
I
form
know,
site.
this is easier. 2402 is required if you fill out 5A1 on listing agreement.
Say it one more time.
2402 is required with the 2406 if you fill out 5A1 on listing agreement.
5A1 and 2. Because 5A1 tells how much the seller is paying the listing broker. 5A2 tells how much the seller is offering to compensate the buyer's broker.
5A1 is your total, 5A2 is who you paying and how much you pay.
Yep.
Yep.
And then 5B means the seller would pay if they're not offering anything, but they're willing to negotiate. So if you've got a client or a seller that wants to negotiate, that you have this conversation and they go, well, I don't know what I want to pay them because I don't know what the offer's going to be. 5B.
Go back up to 5A real quick.
Well, I haven't got down to 5B yet, but
Go down. Yeah, 5B.
I'll go down to 5B for you ladies. 5B. Purpose of 5B should be used when the seller only wants to pay for the listing broker services. The seller may not want to pay any compensation to a buyer's broker or wants to negotiate buyer's broker compensation on a case-by-case basis with each submitted offer. Now, at the bottom of 2406, there is a blank that you put in what the buyer's agent is getting. And the last sentence of that thing says, this creates a new obligation to the seller. That's where they pay the BAC directly to the buyer's agent's broker. Does all that make sense? I know it's a lot of numbers. My wife sitting in the living room the other day while I was having a conversation, she goes, you throw out a lot of numbers. I go, because those are the things we have to deal with now. We have to know 2402 and 2406 and what they do and how they relate back to the listing agreement of 5A1, 5A2, and 5B. We all need to get that in our brains. So look at them, read them, on the 2406, the first paragraph, it even references 2401 or 2402. It references it. It says you have to have it. So when Victoria comes to you and says, hey, you've submitted a 2406, but you also need 2402. If you have an argument with that, let us know. But I've schooled Victoria on what we're doing here. And so we've had many conversations over the last 2 weeks that if you use the 2406 with 5A1, you have to have the 2402.
Greg and I were just talking about this. This is Danielle said it, I think 2 weeks ago, and then we were talking about it over the weekend. It's just going to take time. I think just having to repetitively do it will, like right now, I'm like, I have no clue. So I probably have to put it on Slack. Okay, what do I do now? Because
well, and that's fine. I would love to see it because that gives everybody the opportunity to jump in and say, Kaya, does all this make sense to you as a new agent? We're throwing so much information at you. Wouldn't it be great if you had a Slack message where she asked a question and you can go, now what? And then you can pull it up on another computer and you can look at it.
and I can write you to the repetitiveness. Yeah, what's gonna, especially since I haven't experienced it yet.
Yeah,
It's
right.
harder to understand.
Exactly.
It's like the appraisal addendum. I literally question myself every time I fill that out, even though I know what I'm thinking. But it's just because of all the.
There's a lot of ambiguity. There's a lot of stuff. I had my first buyer, 2.5 weeks ago, and I've been training you guys on this all summer long. And I sat down to do it, and I was like, holy crap, I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I had to think through it, call the listing agent and go, do you have a listing agreement where the seller is offering compensation to you and to me?
Or just to.
And he goes, I don't know. Let me go look. He's a broker too.
Yeah.
And he didn't have any clue.
Yeah.
We ended up doing the 2406 and putting it where the seller is paying me direct.
Correctly. Yeah.
So
He's not actually paying you directly though.
it's the same thing.
It
It's
is.
just the
I don't
way that it goes
understand
through
why. That's
title.
where it's
That's
confusing.
what I'm saying, because on the CD, it's gonna be the same as it's always been.
As it's always been.
Because it's coming from the seller regardless. It's
Because
the
it
debit
has
to
to go
the
to the
seller.
broker.
Huh?
And
It
yeah,
has to go to you. It has to go to the broker.
Yeah.
It's not coming to.
Right. But,
Oh, yeah,
but,
same
it, but
difference,
it,
yeah.
okay. So yes, when it comes through, it comes to 6th Ave, the brokerage. And
So
then we
basic-
do splits.
Okay, so basically that one, so I'm on my listing appointment with you. And in the past, I would say the brokerage fee is 6%. 3% goes to me, your listing agent, 3% goes to the buyer's agent.
Mhm.
Now, am I saying my fee is 3%?
Would you like to offer?
Would you like to extend compensation to the buyer's agent?
at 3% because
At,
that's what I think is best.
so now it's 3% here and 3% here as opposed to 6%, and we're splitting it.
Because it's just the way that it's stated
I know.
to make sure that the seller understands that they have always had
Options.
and still have
But I
the
always
ability to negotiate.
Yeah,
on
so you're still
every-
explaining, my fee is 6, that's how I've always explained it. My
Yeah.
fee is 6%. It's always been the best interest of my seller to offer a compensation for the buyer for X, Y, and Z. And that is, I would offer 3% to the buyer's agent. We've all said it.
Right,
It's
but
just-
now it's just how it's put on there.
That's just make everybody feel better.
Yeah. Yep. And I don't know if you guys have heard, there's a lot of pushback on clear cooperation policy. Clear cooperation policy with the NAR says that if you market your property to the public in any way, it must be on MLS within 1 business day.
Oh, yeah.
It can be coming soon, but if you put a sign in the yard, you gotta have it on MLS within 1 day. If you put a Facebook post up saying, look at this new house I'm about to list,
That's a violation.
that's
Yeah,
a,
it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's always been
it's
that way.
a violation
You say
all
you
the
do
time.
yours on Friday because Monday is technically like the first day.
first business
Yeah.
day. So when you see me when I list a house, I go on Fridays and I do my Facebook Live walkthrough that I do sometimes. Sometimes I do video, but I publish on Friday because I'm putting it on the market Monday morning.
You mean going active on Monday morning?
Correct.
Or
Or
you can
putting
be
it on
coming
MLS.
soon.
It can be coming soon
It can be coming soon
For 15 to 30 days.
in 30 days.
for 30 days.
Yeah.
Up to
Yeah.
30 days coming soon. But I always try to get things done. That way, the reason that I do it that way is because I can do all my publicity I want to do, put pictures up, Facebook Live walkthrough. all on Friday. That still gives me Saturday and Sunday to finish out everything I need to finish out in MLS, put the pictures up, make sure they look good, get all my stuff done, and then Monday morning I go active. Because I don't know about y'all, but it drives me crazy when a listing agent puts a listing up with no pictures.
Oh, yeah. And
I'm-
it's so bad right now. Like, why are people so lazy right now? No pictures, no measurements,
No
no
documents.
documents. I mean, no seller's disclosure. I'm like,
They're lazy. They're just lazy.
Personally, I want to see documents in transaction desk. Now, I do a lot of stuff in East Texas, and most people out there, they don't do nothing. There ain't no transaction desk out there at all. So I don't know. It's a time that we're getting through, guys. We're already 3 weeks into this now of the new settlement stuff. It's starting to level out a little bit. People are freaking out a little bit less, and it's gonna make us professional people that do this all the time much better at what we do. It's gonna make us better, and we're gonna get rid of some of the chattel that we don't need in this industry. That's all I have for today. Thank you all for coming. Please get some more breakfast. Scott, thank you for coming today.
Yeah.
Color Post dropped some stuff off. You guys, Color Post is great.
right up on you, girl.
Scott, you can stand around and talk to some people on your way out. Thank you all for joining us online. Jana, Kristen, Ryan, Rachel, Angela, thank you. We'll see you guys soon.
They're taking out their phone and if there's crap everywhere.
I mean, I would not put my name on it, but I mean, unfortunately, there's uncle that, but it's like that.
There's a mail that came in through me, for me, you can see it, right?
Hang on just a second. Let me get this done.
Yeah.
Say that one more time.
There's a mail that came in